Thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. Now, Blue Mountain College is holding a dedication ceremony Friday, June the 21st for its Blue Mountain College Alumni House and Welcome Center. The ceremony will be held on the front lawn of the Palmer Donnell House front lawn at 1 p.m. If it's raining, the ceremony will be moved to Lowry Auditorium. We will bring you more on this later. Now, if you like blues music, there's a festival coming up just down the road here that you will enjoy. It's the third annual Kimbrough Cotton Patch Soul Blues Festival, returning to the Hut in Hollis Springs on May the 17th through the 19th, 2019. Now, 3 days of live music, food, and plenty of education about the original Cotton Patch Soul Blues Boy Junior Kimbrough. The Kimbrough Cotton Patch Soul Blues Festival is an interactive, unfiltered culture experience held in Junior's hometown, Hollis Springs, Mississippi, the city with all kinds of character. We hope you'll get a chance to go and be a part of this legacy. Now, New Albany Middle School 8th grade art student Abby Laney was selected as the winning artist for the 2019 Pedaling for Hope on the Tanglefoot Trail bike ride. Now, the bike ride, which is scheduled for Saturday, June the 29th, is hosted by New Albany's Main Street Association and the Tupelo Regional Rehabilitation Center. Abby's art will be used for the t-shirts and promotional items. Now, pictured with Abby is her art teacher, Julie Eaton. Congratulations, Abby! 9 New Albany Middle School students were selected by Blue Mountain College as local winners of the New Albany Garden Club sponsored poetry contest. After completing a unit in Tracy Venesi's class, students were encouraged to express and explore their creative thoughts through different types of poetry. Now, the winners of each grade are pictured. 6th grade is Jeb Boland, Lucy King, and Will Chisholm. 7th grade is Josie Campbell, Eva Aldridge, and Juliana Scott. And 8th grade is Julianne Littlejohn, Brina Legan, and Logan Blakemore. Now, this week, Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann came to New Albany, and we at Hill Country Network were invited to tag along. He visited with students involved in the Alderman's program. He went and visited with the Kiwanis Club members and some of the patrons that were at the El Gave restaurant. And he came to the studios right here and talked with one of our own hosts about why he was running for lieutenant governor and why he loves Mississippi. We will have clips later in the show, and we hope you enjoy those. Now, we will also have some clips from the political speakers from last week's Candy Hill Festival, the Myrtle's Candy Hill Festival. Now, there were several of the sheriff's candidates and some of the District 1 supervisors. 6 cadets from New Albany High School's JROTC program has been selected to attend the National Flight Academy at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida in June. These cadets will learn how to plan missions, work with flight simulators, eat on a mess deck, sleep in staterooms, and receive mission briefings. The cadets are selected in no particular order, and you can see their names here because I'm sure I would butcher the most of them. Now, on this week's EDS rain gauge out in the Liberty area, we got 4.09 inches of rain, and the weather next week from the National Weather Service shows sunny most of the days, with Wednesday being our best chance for rain, with highs in the low 80s and the lows mostly in the 60s. Beautiful Mississippi weather. Now, on Saturday, June the 22nd, the BOND Small Business Group will be hosting the 2nd annual Pontotoc Food Fight at the Pontotoc Second Baptist Church in Pontotoc, Mississippi. The event will highlight 6 professional bakers and 6 home cooks as they compete to see who can create the best candy-themed cakes. The event is a chance for North Mississippians to come together and appreciate local culinary talent while helping to advertise local bakeries and food establishments. You will get a chance to taste the cakes and help pick a winner or two. We will have more on this event as the days get closer. And on May the 17th, New Albany High School seniors will graduate. The ceremony will be held in the auditorium. Now, we did not receive notification yet on when the county schools are graduating, except for one of them, which will be on the 23rd. We think the others will be on the 24th, but we'll let you know as soon as we can. Now, the Biscuits and Jams Farmers Market will hold its opening day on Thursday, June the 6th, starting at 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. And the musical guest that night will be George McConnell, and at the demo booth, which is sponsored by the Main Street Association, will be Clay Goolsby, a knife sharpener. Now, musician George McConnell is an American musician from Vicksburg, Mississippi, who played for Widespread Panic, the Kudzu Kings, and Beanland. They will have fresh produce, live music, and things going on in the demo booth. And so come on out and visit with your friends and neighbors, and you'll have a great time. Now, the Tanglefoot Trail is open once again and waiting for you to come and enjoy it. You can hike or bike the trail, and there are many whistle stops along the way. It is 44 miles of beautiful scenery from New Albany to Houston, Mississippi. We hope you'll take advantage of our wonderful Mississippi weather and get out and exercise. Now, thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. We are on all of our social media, so we hope you'll be following us on Instagram and go to our Facebook page and like us there and follow us there. And also go and to our YouTube channel and subscribe so that you do not miss any of our original programs. You can take us with you on the go by going to our website and watching us on our live stream there. And tell your friends who don't have Max South 99 New Albany that we are on Roku. We're excited to be on Roku, and this makes us accessible to televisions all over the United States. Tell your friends and family about Hill Country Network. We are your North Mississippi Community Channel. Now, we have some new shows that started airing this last week. We have Meet Your Mississippi with Miss Patricia Neely Dorsey, who is bringing you authors and artists and introducing you and telling you about their books. We also have Dr. Chuck Garrett, who is doing Education Today. He's doing education of all types. He's covering what affects schools and what affects our children in our neighborhoods. And he also talks to people that are affected our lives, such as politicians, and I'm sure there will be some others that are out there too. Now, we hope you'll stay tuned for the rest of the show, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
We started this 2 years ago. So this year, Tracy Benisi, who is our Assistant Community Development Director, had the great idea to ask Stephanie Gregg to be the sponsor. And Stephanie has taken it and run with it, and it has been amazing. It's been like the best year ever, and I'm going to let her talk about it, what all she's done with them.
Well, we had an application process, and they wrote some essays, and we had 3 outside community members to read those for us, and we came up with some ward leaders, and they have committees, and we have 21 total members, and they came up with their own projects and that they presented to the board. And all 3 of those projects have been approved, and 1 has already been implemented, and we've just had a great year.
Yeah, and these are very innovative and smart and fabulous young people that just really want to be involved. It's really motivated me even as a alderman to do more, because they are just so motivated and really want to see change.
Right.
And when I got into government, I learned that things are a lot slower than you want them to be. So we've had to explain to the students, and Stephanie's done a great job of telling them, you're not going to always see the fruits of your labor, but you've planted some seeds, and so you will see it in a few years, or when you come back, you'll see it. And I really am proud of them, because they hold us accountable. I mean, they want answers.
Right.
They want to know what's happening, and they want to know. And I love that, because that's what we need as leaders. We need to be held accountable, and so I love that about the students.
They don't let you forget.
Oh no. And so some of them are graduating. Yes, and Stephanie had the great idea to do cords for their graduation, so we ordered those, and we're providing those. The city's going to provide cords for them to represent their red, white, and blue, to represent their involvement in government. So they'll be wearing those on graduation.
Yes.
And then today we have, this just happened at the last minute. Clay Hardy messaged me and said, who's the sponsor for junior alderman? He thought Delbert Hosemann was coming through town today, and he thought it'd be a great idea for him to meet with the students. And Stephanie arranged it really quickly, got it together, and so we're able to do that today. and we're excited about him being here to meet with them and talk about government in Mississippi.
And they're going to have some great questions for him.
Yes, Stephanie got them ready to ask questions, so that's going to be great.
And the race went on the same day we raced, and the race started about 200 miles. They dropped us off 50 miles, which made us 150 miles ahead, thank goodness, because they were a bit faster than I was. And so we raced in, 12 of us. 2 of them were from South Africa, a couple were from Australia, 3 or 4 of our guys from the United States, a couple of brokers from Hong Kong. We're all in this little group, and we got to race just like they did, in little lines and all, like just waving through the towns and whatnot. It's real exciting. So you've got an asset here, you know, to have that trailhead's an asset. You also got a really great town, actually. If you look around at what's working here and what's not working here, y'all have done really well. School's doing really well. Have an A school, you're blessed. Not all of Mississippi has the same opportunities you have. So let me tell you about what I do. Grew up in Vicksburg. Decided to go out of state, so I went to the University of Notre Dame. The first time I ever saw Notre Dame was when they dropped me off at the front door. Because we didn't travel around like y'all, and we didn't have internets and all like this, and I had just read about Notre Dame. I thought it'd be a great place to go. It was. So I showed up there, and about the 3rd or 4th week I was there, it started snowing. It's cold. It's way northern Indiana, and I thought, boy, I made a horrible mistake. And then I come to find out you can't have a car till you were a senior. Notre Dame, you couldn't have a car till you were a senior. You had hours. You had to be in at 10:30 on the night, and at midnight. You had to be in at midnight on Saturday night. There were no girls allowed women allowed at the University of Notre Dame. So there were no cars, no way to get a date, and it was cold. I'm not so sure that was my best decision, but in any event, it turned out great. And we loved being at the university and got a phenomenal education. Came back, went to the Army, came back, went to Ole Miss for law school in the New York University in New York City for a Master's of Laws in Taxation. So I stayed in school as long as I could without working. So it was a long time. Came back, started practicing law, practiced law for 30 years, and then got elected. This is for 12 years as Secretary of State. Now, what we do is at the Secretary of State's office, and I want y'all to have some time to ask some questions. We do the things that you would think we do, and oftentimes much more. When I came, we took all paper to start a corporation or a limited liability company or securities and everything. They were all done on paper. I've changed that completely. We now have about 700,000 documents that I take all electronically. Don't take any paper. We're the most automated Secretary of State. And with that came some things that you will face when you get out of here.
We are so excited to have with us today Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann, and he is running for Lieutenant Governor. So we are just ecstatic that he decided to come and talk with us at the Hill Country Network. Well, I'm all about promoting a positive Mississippi and wanting our kids to know all about Mississippi and loving Mississippi, learning more about it. So how we want to keep our millennials and all of the kids here instead of thinking they have to go somewhere else. You ask the millennials, they think we don't have adequate jobs. They think we don't have the right kind of economic system. So tell us how you're going to try to change that where they don't feel like that they feel like they have competitive rates for jobs and things.
We're knocking that myth down a little bit at a time. First of all, you'll see all of our incentives programs going what I call 25 to 250. 25 employees to 250. That's our wheelhouse for Mississippi. That's what'll grow. You got a 20-person or a 30-person company and it grows to 35 or 40. That really didn't cost me anything, you know, to do that. I didn't have to pay for jobs and whatnot. Like New York City paid $3 billion for Google and then they kicked them out. But you know, you go back and I think small business growth is important. I have been emphasizing that. We need an educated workforce and the growth of small business. So yesterday, Mississippi was named the #1 state for the growth of small business by Amazon.
Okay, I've heard that. Yeah,
I know. And so
we're #1.
Yeah, I know. So what we want to do.
welcome to the Candy Hill Festival. We're ready now for some more political speaking. And if you're running for sheriff, coming up in the August elections, if you're running for sheriff, we'd like for you to come to the stage now and speak about 2 minutes. And would you come in this order? Danny Dillard, Ashley Kidd, Brandon Garrett, and Jimmy Edwards. If you would, please come and make your way to the stage, and let's do that in that order. And you have about 2 minutes to speak and share. And I think first is Danny Dillard.
I'm Danny Dillard. I grew up in Union County. I was raised right out here at Center, out Highway 348, where I grew up at, where the old schoolhouse is. Then I got married, moved to Sherman, married Donald Russell at Sherman, and that's where I started my law enforcement career in 1986. I have 32 years of experience. I was a police chief at Sherman for 2 years, then went to Lee County Sheriff's Department in 1990, left there in 2004. Worked under 4 different sheriffs. When I left, I was captain of Lee County Vice Narcotic Task Force. As your sheriff, my policy is going to be zero tolerance against drugs. Working drugs for Lee County for many years, that's one of the worst things out there. I've always said, and I've been wrong in it. I'll explain that to you in a minute. But I served as the Southern States PBA board over all state law enforcement for the state of Mississippi. So I represent all law enforcement for Southern States PBA down in Jackson. We meet every quarter. That being said, I have a good working connection with our federal, state law enforcement officers. There's a lot of stuff I can bring to the table. There's a lot of grants out there that we could have to boost up our patrol, our narcotics, our investigators. And that part I was telling you about, I always said narcotics was the worst thing, and I was wrong. This human trafficking is going on now. I sat on the task force with the state on human trafficking, and just think about waking up in the morning and your child or your grandbaby is gone. No way to know where they went, which way they went, or nothing. Well, as your sheriff, I will put somebody on that task force to try to slow that down to help us, because it's here. It's a reality in Union County. If you look at the computer right now on the website, it's unreal of the kids that's coming up missing. We just lost one in Monroe County, found her in Louisiana, thank God. We've lost one in Carrent, Alcorn County. We lost one in DeSoto County, both of them 16-year-old. Now, at 16, you're supposed to know who your mom and dad is and who your family is, but these people will get them and run off with them. It's scary, and that's way worse than drugs will ever be. I will boost up our investigation. I will put a female on our investigation to help with that problem with our kids, because children will open up to a female where they want a male officer. They won't tell me stuff, but they will tell a female officer. I will put a female officer in investigations to help with that problem and put them on that task force. All of y'all know Jason Collier. If I get elected sheriff of Union County, Jason Collier will be the chief deputy. It's no secret. It's on the internet. We done put it out there. We got a plan together. And that puts leadership on the west side of the county, and me living on the east side. I live at Blue Springs. So we're going to try to cover the county, cut down on response time, put more deputies out there on the road to answer these calls quicker. So that being said, I got free water over there. If anybody gets thirsty, go over, get you a glass of water. I'd love to talk to you, share my plan with you, talk with you more, and come see me. Vote for Danny Dillard, August the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. And now we welcome to the stage Ashley Kidd.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming out here in the rain. I want to thank the people that put on this festival for having me. Unfortunately, I'm a little long-winded, so the time allotted is nowhere near enough time for me to talk and tell what I want to. So with that being said, I got a booth set up over here. I got donuts, because, you know, cops love donuts. And I got some Coke and some water. Come by, have a seat, and I'd love to talk to you face to face. With that being said, I'm Ashley Kidd, and I hope to earn your vote and be the next sheriff here in Union County. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. And now, Brandon Garrett.
How's everybody doing? My name is Brandon Garrett, and I'm running for Union County Sheriff on the Republican ticket. I have over 15 years of law enforcement experience, most spent as a detective and a supervisor. I worked complex crime scenes such as homicides, robberies, sex crimes, crimes against children, property, and cyber crimes. As a detective and supervisor, I led a team of 8 detectives and worked and managed over 200 cases a month. I'm a certified investigator with the state of Mississippi, and I'm also a hostage negotiator. I plan to take my experience and bring it to Union County. I want to make sure our county and our community is informed of everything that's going on news media, social media. And I'm confident that I can lead this department, manage our sheriff department, and create a department that is capable of serving our community. Y'all come by my tent and see me. I'd be glad to communicate and talk and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. And now, Mr. Jimmy Edwards.
Good afternoon. I'm Jimmy Edwards. It's been an honor and a privilege to have served as your sheriff during the last nearly 8 years. I've worked in law enforcement for 20 years. Every day of it been spent at your Union County Sheriff's Office. I've tried my best to serve the people of Union County fair and courteously, and have insisted the same kind of professionalism from our deputies. I'm proud of the law enforcement team that we've put together in the community and their continuous commitment to improve our service to Union County. I haven't got my glasses, so I'm going to try to see this. I'm also proud of the improvements that we've been able to make over the last 8 years, along with the help and support from the community and funding that didn't come from the taxpayers or local tax money. The most substantial funding that didn't come from taxpayers was seized assets and cash resulting from our drug enforcement operations. We've seized more than $500,000 in cash and assets. Among other things, we've been able to replace 10 worn-out vehicles without it costing the taxpayers a dime. You hold them too. From drug enforcement seized asset money, we've also replaced an obsolete radio communication system. Now our deputies can communicate from anywhere in the county and all over the state. These greatly improved communications have made our officers and citizens safer and bettered an overall service for Union County. Again, this was done without any cost to the taxpayers. Each deputy's got a bulletproof vest, thanks to the help of a federal grant, another program that didn't cost the taxpayers a penny. Working with the county school superintendent's office and the board of supervisors, we now have a school resource officer, a full-time certified officer in each of the 4 county school campuses. Safety and protection of our children is imperative. We've been able to add a K-9 dog certified and a trained officer to handle him. It's been instrumental in the detection of illegal narcotics. And This led to numerous arrests since his deployment. We have implemented a jail ministry. Everyone booked into the jail can receive a free Bible at no cost to them. We still maintain and support the DARE program, the Are You OK program, Project Lifesaver, along with many others that's during my tenure as your sheriff. We have an investigator signed to the Internet's Crimes Against Children Task Force, partnership with the State Attorney General's office that monitors the Internet to help protect our most valuable asset, our children. We also have an investigator participating in the newly formed North Mississippi Human Trafficking Task Force. We continually improve our working relationship with other state, local, and federal organizations, working hand in hand in numerous cases and incidents that has resulted in positive results. Working with the United States Marshal Service, we conduct a sex offender compliance check each year to keep a close watch on registered sex offenders that are living within our county. During the last 8 years, we have made over 1,250 felony cases, of which about half has been drug cases. They've all been indicted by grand jury and presented to the district attorney's office for prosecution. Removing illegal drugs and narcotics from our county has been a top priority of mine since day one, and we will continue to rigorously fight to remove drug dealers from our communities. The work of your sheriff's department has been recognized both state and federal levels. We received the Top Cop Award in 2010 in Washington, D.C. from the National Association of Police Organizations. We received special commendations from the United States Department of Justice for our work in safe recovery of 2 young girls that were abducted and for capturing the person responsible for abducting them. We've also received a national award from the Center of Missing and Exploited Children in Washington, D.C. It's not just me that's been honored, but the honor reflects on each and every person working for your sheriff's office, from the dispatchers, detention officers, to our deputies, administrative staff, as well as you, the citizens of Union County, for your calls, for your tips, for your help. And without that, we can't do what we do. I want to humbly ask for your continued support so we can continue this level of proactive law enforcement service for Union County. On August the 6th, please vote for and help re-elect Jimmy Edwards, Sheriff of Union County. Thank you.
But right now, we're going to have some more candidates speaking. And if our supervisors for District 1 would be making their way to the stage, and if you'll come up this way, we've got Jerry Burke, Gary Floyd, Carl Graham, Paul Patterson, Sam Taylor, and Evan Denton. If you'll come in that order, we'd appreciate it. So right now, for Supervisor District 1, let's welcome Mr. Jerry Burke.
Hello, how are you? I am Jerry Burke. I'm running for 1st District Supervisor, and I've been a business owner in Union County and lived in the 1st District for way over 30 years. And I'd like to put my business experience to work for the 1st District and Union County. I'd sure appreciate any of your support I could get. Come by and talk with me. Any of the kids or anything, I've got free popsicles. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jerry Burke. Now, Mr. Gary Floyd.
Hello, folks. I'm Gary Floyd, and I'd love to be the 1st District Supervisor of Union County. I grew up here. Matter of fact, I grew up right over there. I grew up in this part of the woods. My father, Barney Floyd, lives right down here. We've got a shop we've had for years. But I would like for y'all to give me a thought about being your supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary Floyd. And now welcome Paul Patterson.
Thanks, Terry. Get out of front of these lights. They're blinding me there where I can see the folks. My name is Paul Patterson. I'm from Myrtle. I've run for this position before. And I'd like to say I was brought up in Myrtle, lived down County Road 2, farmed. I own a business there now. And so I'm running again. And, you know, being a supervisor for the county is a very important job. And I've run before because I felt like I could do a better job. I felt like when my experience, I was in sales for many years, probably for close to 20 years. I dealt with big companies, Nissan, Mercedes. I did a lot of negotiations, did a lot of negotiation in boardrooms and stuff with some executives and stuff. So I have a lot of experience with that. There's a lot of things I'd like to see. Over the past year, I've heard about the roads, and we all know we have terrible roads. The transportation guy was talking about it earlier, and I think that the county is very important. There's a lot of spots in our district, the first district, that really needs to be seen to. I put on my card that I carry around and I'm giving to folks when I'm going door to door that I will be accessible. I have this shop here in Myrtle, and I will be accessible. I'm pretty much there all the time. So if you don't have my phone number, you stop by my shop. You can tell me what you do. But I do ask you to consider me over in August for the vote of your first district supervisor. I feel like I'll do you a really good job. Thank y'all.
All right, good morning, y'all. Afternoon now. I'm Joe Griss, and I'm running for Transportation Commissioner in the Northern District. And I tell people everywhere I go, if you drove here today, you know exactly why I'm running. Folks, our roads and bridges are in terrible shape. They're about, here in Union County, you're about $70 million in need. $70 million. In the Northern District, we're about $1 billion in need. That's the 33 counties that I'm running in. And folks, I'm gonna tell you, we haven't had a road program in the state of Mississippi since 1987. They've let our roads and bridges crumble, and if we don't do something about it now, it's gonna cost us twice as much money in the future. I talk to people all the time. Concrete and pavement is not going down. It is steady going up, y'all. And if we don't start somewhere, we won't ever get anything done. In 2016, they passed a massive tax cut in this state, $460 million. Individuals got a tax cut, and I'm good with that, because where are you gonna spend your money? You're gonna spend your money right here in Union County. And I'm good with corporations that are built in Mississippi and stayed in Mississippi. I'm for them getting a tax cut, because they spend all their money here. But folks, I'm gonna tell you, Walmart, Amazon, people like that, I don't know about you, but they doing real well. And if we'd have kept that money, that's $260 million that we could have put into roads and bridges. Folks, I'm telling you, that's what we should have done, because that sucking sound you're hearing is Walmart and Amazon sucking the money right out of the state of Mississippi. I'm telling you, it's time we stood up to these folks and told them what we needed. We have closed over 300 bridges in the state of Mississippi. 300 bridges.
Let's give him a round of applause, Mr. Sam Creekmore.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. In the fall of 1989, I was a senior in high school. New Albany was playing Ripley. The winner of the game would be the division champion, and the winner of the game would go to the playoffs and be a favorite to win a state championship. It was a tough game. It was back and forth, and it came down to one play, a goal line play. The coach sends in the play, and it's 32 power. The ball was to go to me, and I was supposed to run behind our all-state right tackle. As we break the huddle, my fellow running back comes to me and says, Creekmore, you block and let me have the ball. So in a weak moment, I made a hasty decision to not do what the play the coach called in, and we switched positions. The ball is snapped, I make my block, but I never see Gary cross the goal line. He fumbled the ball. We lose the game. Of course, I've never forgotten that moment, But as I've gotten older, I've learned that there are a few times in our lives when we're called upon to make a difference. I didn't make a difference in that play when I was called upon. But today, I feel called upon to run for your state representative. My name is Sam Creekmore, and I'm running for District 14. I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I have a lifelong passion for public service. We've had great leaders in Union County and New Albany, and we've benefited from that. We've also got a wealth of resources, which you all know. We've got a railroad system. We've got an interstate. We've got 2 major highways. We've got great parks. And how about our great schools, both city and county? It's incredible. But what we have most of, and what is the most wonderful about Union County, the United County, is our people. Our hardworking, dedicated, humble people. That's one of our greatest resources. Life is good in Union County, but we cannot be complacent. We must continue to strive for excellence and smart growth. We must, and this is so important, we must create opportunities for our young people to thrive. We're in real competition to keep our young and educated people in Mississippi and in Union County. We have all the ingredients here for success. So please consider me and help me help our county grow and prosper. Call on me and I'll carry the ball. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creekmore, Sam Creekmore. All right, we'd like to bring up next Miss Kathy Chisholm. Miss Kathy Chisholm, let's give her a big round of applause.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Chisholm. I really appreciate the invitation here today. I'm from Myrtle. I grew up in Myrtle. I'm married to Bob Chisholm, 46 years now. That almost tells you how old I am. We'll take bids on it later. I'm running for Senator District 3. That's all of Union County, all of Benton County, and most of Pontotoc County. I am a Christian. I go to Beulah Baptist Church. We have one daughter. We have 4 grandchildren, son-in-law. This is my first time in politics, but I'm ready to go get them. I think we need some Christian people in the senator seat. I would love to be the Christian female that fills that seat, so I would appreciate your vote. Now, a little bit more about me. I am definitely pro-life. Of course, I said I'm a Christian, I'm pro-life. I think that at the moment of conception, there is a human being there. I am definitely pro-Second Amendment. I have guns. I want everybody to have their guns. I think Mississippi will always keep their guns, and hopefully nationwide, because you know what happens if the guns are taken away from us. It's kind of hard to think when I'm standing here looking at everybody. I do promise you hard work, integrity, honesty. If you will put me in this position, if you will vote for me August the 6th, I think most everybody here probably knows me, and you know my work ethics. I guarantee you to go down there and work hard and stand up for what's right. I think that one of the problems now is people go down there and maybe don't stand up like they should. But again, I think that we need Christian people in there. So when you go to vote on August the 6th, please remember me, and I'm trying to keep this real short. I know there's a lot of people, and we're all excited to hear misbehaving. We don't want to take up their time. So when you go to vote on August the 6th, please remember me. I need votes, and I'll promise you I need just as many prayers as I do votes. So please get down on your knees and pray for me, and pray that if I go to the Senate seat, that things will be done in a Christian manner, and my decisions will be based on prayer. And my phone number is published everywhere, 662-538-4577. I want to be a senator for everyone. If you have a problem, I want to hear from you. I want to take it down there for you. One more time, when you go to vote, please vote for me on August the 6th. Kathy Chisholm. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy Chisholm. And now would you welcome Mr. Tim Tucker. Tim Tucker, let's give him a round of applause.
I'm Tim Tucker, candidate for State Senate District 3. I'm dedicated to God first and to my fellow man. My life has been one in public service, and I've earned the respect of judges across the north half of this district and through my clients also. And people's ability to pay rarely ever influenced whether or not I stood beside them as an advocate. And I became their voice in making sure that they received justice and for what was right. I have the education and experience to serve the people of Union, Pontotoc, and Benton counties in Senate District 3 as a voice to promote a better Mississippi. I will stand, support, and vote for stronger public schools. I will stand, support, and vote for repair and rebuilding the infrastructure for better roadways and bridges. I am a devoted pro-life Christian who supports Senate Bill 2116. I will be guided by the principles over party affiliation on all issues. While I was in law school, I worked to write legislation to amend the Vulnerable Adults Act. I will stand for those that are most vulnerable among our population. I also have served for over 15 years as a guardian ad litem. That is representing the best interest of children that are abused and neglected, and I represent their best interest and am appointed by the courts to serve as the child's attorney to make sure that they are protected. I have dedicated in service to my fellow man and asking that you place this public servant to be allowed to continue to serve you, the people. My constituents are the people of the 3rd District, and I'm trained to interpret laws. I understand that wording matters as to how a law would be interpreted. I have been in the circumstance where, because a law had good intentions, but it was interpreted in a different way, and there were unintended consequences. So I believe that I am prepared to serve in a capacity that will put good laws on the books. And it's time that the people speak and be heard. If you want legislatures that understand, that have the life experience, that have the education to make informed decisions, then I believe Tim Tucker is your candidate. I am the right choice. I will listen to the needs and evaluate what is best for the district and represent you well. I'm not a perfect man, but through the guiding principles of my faith, I am ready, willing, and prepared to serve on day one as I enter the state capitol building. I will give you accessibility. My card, which I've been trying to pass out here, has my cell number on it, and it says if you have a question or concern, just send me a message and I will respond. It's the purpose of this campaign to give you a voice. It's the purpose of this campaign to give you accessibility, and I believe that I am the right choice to be the voice for the 3rd District. If that appeals to you, then I humbly ask for your consideration based on my education, experience, and my platform of being for public schools, for rebuilding infrastructure. And on November the 5th, Tim Tucker will be the right choice. I ask that God bless you and God bless the great state of Mississippi. Thank you.
Many of you have gotten involved in publication and moving toward publication or not, but my co-editor, Brian King, who couldn't be with us today, I think he's ashamed to be seen with me. And you can tell him I said that. He never thought this would get published, because it took longer than he thought it would. Now, I wasn't surprised, because I know the process in some of this, that you do a draft and then you have to go back and revise it. And I want to tell you something. I had a totally different writing experience than I have had with the academic writing I've done. This was for a different audience. And I had to explain some things in the captions for these pictures that I would have never imagined that I would have had to have done. I used the term at one point, a kitchen garden, and I had to explain what that was. and I had to explain the process of the life cycle of cotton. You know, you start out with the little plants and you have people hoeing and all that. And I came to understand why that is. This is for a general audience, a broad readership, and not necessarily Mississippians who know the lay of the land and everything about it. That you have to explain a little more, and I don't know why I didn't mess up so much in style, because I tell my students to get rid of their passive voices and write in present tense and all that. I make mine do, I compel mine to do that in a slightly different fashion. But I had to make adjustments in the way I write and explain more. And I got frustrated. In retrospect, I wish I had taken a sabbatical for a semester to do this work, because to try to have a full-time teaching load and do other stuff that entails that job, this was time consuming. And it was so much fun to have a spring break this year where I could be a bum. Now that's all I have to say. I look back on that and I said, you know, I didn't get much done in terms of some of my research, although I was still able to do it. And I started thinking about this whole idea of a memoir. Those photographs represent 9 years in Alice Stewart's life. Now, first of all, as much as I respect and admire and love my Aunt Alice, you can't say that she was a notable person on a broad landscape. She had an interesting career for someone born in 1898 who finished nursing training in Memphis in 1925, and from that point worked at VA hospitals for several years before she went to Parchman in 1930, appointed by the governor. And quite honestly, I have some letters of support from the main doctor at Parchman asking her, the next governor would retain her as a head nurse. But beyond that, I have no idea, and Catherine and I have discussed this. We do not ultimately know how Aunt Alice got that job at Parchman. Now, it was probably a real blessing for the family, because this was during the Depression. And that would have been a pretty decent job. Now, I know pretty much what the salary was, because that's some more of those papers that I found upstairs when I started prowling around. No telling what else is up there. The only thing I wish I could find that somewhere upstairs is a Mickey Mantle baseball card. Now, I have a feeling the silverfish may have taken it, but that may well be the most valuable thing up there. I'm just saying. But I have come to treasure these pictures. Not so much, I first looked at this, and they're listed in the back of the book in the bibliography, about two of the more notable histories of Parchman. You're generally going to get two views of it. Either somebody's going to focus on the racism and the Jim Crow, vestiges of Jim Crow that you had at Parchman, and admittedly, Parchman probably wasn't an ideal situation at the time. One of the historians mentions that yes, there were abuses at Parchman, but they probably weren't any worse than anywhere else, at any other prison. And you also have you have other people who focus on the blues background at the prison, because John and Alan Lomax, who were pioneers in folk music and collecting it, the Smithsonian asked them to go around in the 1930s and collect blues recordings of blues music in the South, and they in 1933 that were at Parchman. And some of them are going to focus on the blues music that was coming out of Parchman at the time. So you have those two things. This set of photographs that's Aunt Alice's memoir, and the reason it fits to have this segment of her life is that these pictures, so far as we have been able to find out, and this is prowling the archives of the state of Mississippi and the prison, the penal system's websites and things, these are the only pictures that you have of Parchman in the 1930s inside the infirmary. Now, finding information on the infirmary is really difficult. I found one tantalizing line in one of the history books that said that they were doing some research on encephalitis at the penitentiary in 1933. I have yet to be able to find one shred of evidence about it. They did another study at Parchman on pellagra, nutritional disease, in 1915 that you can find information on. This was not unusual to use prisoners as guinea pigs, so to speak, for doing research. That's exactly the way Salk and Sabin developed the polio vaccination, was that they started with, they got permission to use the prisoners in Pennsylvania, particularly to try the vaccinations out on them. And of course, polio was a terrible thing. A lot of us, I get amused about taking vaccinations now. What I remember in the first grade is they didn't ask us any questions about whether, did any of y'all have that experience when the first day of school? At least at Tipper Union, they got us out there in that auditorium and just, they didn't ask one question. They just started giving you shots.